Welcome back, Rise and Thrivers. If you're watching on YouTube, I can see myself in my glasses. It's a bit Matrix-like. That's right, you can watch all of the episodes on YouTube, and if you're not subscribed, it really helps me out. It costs nothing. Head over to YouTube. The link's in the show notes and subscribe. That would be so awesome, and I'd appreciate it so much so we can get these positive messages out there. But welcome back. This is part 2 of my conversation with Karina Murphy, the driving force behind Next Level Results Accelerator. We continued our conversation for greatness, and we start by talking about the victim side of the drama triangle. That's the third side, and that will complete it, and she'll show you, now that you'll know all three sides, how that can give you access to greatness. We also talk about the power of coaching, mindset and transformation. If you missed part 1, we explored Karina's powerful approach to self-awareness and the first 2 sides of the drama triangle, and how to use emotional intelligence to make better choices. It's quite frankly amazing. In this episode, we take it to the next level. Like what I did there? Because she's the Next Level Results Accelerator founder. Karina shares actionable strategies for setting yourself up for success, including her exclusive 5-day challenge. We have a look at the importance of owning your own transformation, and she shares how she's personally seen dramatic shifts in her clients and offers advice that could change the way you approach both personal and professional goals. Her free offer at the end of the episode is the most generous offer we've had in the whole time we've been doing Rise and Thrive Conversations for Greatness. Karina was the very first guest on the show, episode 2. The first episode was me going solo. She was our very first guest. She's back on the show, and she is the most generous guest we've ever had, with her golden tips, her insights, and now this exclusive offer that she gives at the end of this episode. So, are you ready to step into your next level of greatness? I think you are. This episode's for you. Let's get into it.
And then both of those roads, Persecutor, Hero Rescuer, always lead to this experience of being a victim of our circumstances, people, or things.
Right.
So we have the experience of being at the effect of something, whether it's the weather, the boss, the traffic, our family. We have this experience of loss of power.
Yeah.
And the effect of being at the effect of life.
Yeah, that loss of power, that's really clear about when you're in victim mode, or it's not fair, and it's not my fault, and it shouldn't be this way, and all those things that little voice in your head might tell you when you're feeling that way, or they shouldn't have done that, and all this kind of thing.
Correct, yeah. It's like, oh, poor me, you don't understand.
Yeah.
If only you knew what I had to deal with.
Yeah. So then you're in victim mode.
Yeah.
And what's more about being in the victim mode in the drama triangle?
Yeah. And let me just say, even though I'm kind of being a little bit, dramatic about it, it's not about invalidating the experience of the victim.
Right.
Because, we've all dealt with big, significant things in our lives. So it's not about invalidating that. It's about how are we using that to get our needs and wants met.
Right. So it's more about analysing the way you feel that way rather than being judgmental about why you feel that way. I don't know, do you know what I'm trying to say in a better way?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's like noticing the feeling, exactly to your point. You don't need to judge and assess it. Just notice. It's almost like an approach, each of these roles, again, because we haven't been taught, trained, developed in how to communicate well, have that next level of self-awareness to know that we're in the first place. It comes to at play because we don't have the skill to be able to get what we want. And if we're using our circumstances to manipulate a situation to get what we want, most of the time, long term, it's ineffective and there'll be consequences to that. Like people won't want to hang around with you.
Mm.
If you're always playing victim, it's taxing and draining on other people around you.
Mm.
Now, for people that I work with who are up to next level results and want to accomplish something, significant in their life, if they play one of these roles, it has a massive impact on their productivity and effectiveness, which is why we use this to distinguish so that they can stop doing that and have more effective ways of communicating and operating
Yeah.
in the world so that they can actually produce the results that they want. You can't keep doing the same thing and using the same approach to create something beyond what you currently have.
Yeah, really good way to tie it all together.
Yeah. So that's why some people might like being in victim. Okay, good. Have a good time.
But it
So
won't get them to, especially without the awareness that they're doing that, it
yeah,
won't allow them to have access to the power to achieve next level results.
correct. So all this is we're using this to distinguish ways of being and operating that are unconscious, that have limits to them.
Awesome. Say that
Yeah.
again, please.
Yeah. I can't even remember what I said. Yeah. And that's
Okay.
usually the way.
Yeah, I know what you mean sometimes.
Oh, I should have recorded that, Karina. Can you say it again? Oh, I don't know what I've said.
Yeah. I'll cut the thing out where I say that again. Or what I'll do is I'll copy where you said it and then say that again and then just replay what you said.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. So all this is we're using this to distinguish ways of being and operating that are unconscious, that have limits to them. So all this is we're using this to distinguish ways of being and operating that are unconscious, that have limits to them.
That, I guess, answers, and I might ask you, it might elicit the same answer, but I want to ask you this. So now we understand about the drama triangle and the three roles, and we know that we can move in and out of those roles, and we know it doesn't necessarily serve us. We use them to get what we want. But so what?
Yeah, but it's perfect. And again, it's unconscious and automatic. I think that's the really important thing. People aren't intentionally doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now that we know about the drama triangle,
Yeah.
so what? What can we do with it now?
Perfect. So again, with the people that I'm working with, they start noticing, they notice that there's a limitation when they're in those roles. And it doesn't help them get what they want to that next level. Right. So they're going, oh yeah, and the nature of a drama triangle is, it just goes round and round. So there's no way out, and there's usually a particular experience that people have when they're in the drama triangle, and you'll know it now that you know maybe what it looks and feels and sounds like. It's usually heavy, it's frustrating, there's not much creativity happening in there, it's exhausting. People usually feel really tired when they're in the drama triangle. There's lots of apathy, you want to give up, draining. Yeah, it's repetitive, stressful, resentful, so it has a flavor and a quality of all of that when you're in the drama triangle.
Yes, okay. And that's all would you say they're kind of below the line emotions, and you want to get above the line to be able to be high performing and go where you want to go?
Correct. So again, we don't want to make them wrong. We just want to notice that's what's at play, and it's giving us a particular experience of life.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. We don't make them wrong. It's just giving us a particular experience in life.
Correct. Otherwise, we'd be doing Persecutor on it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then we'd go round and round again. And we'd end up being a victim. Oh, poor me, I can't get out of this. I don't know how.
So for the listeners, now that they know these three roles in the drama triangle, they can notice when they're in these particular roles and that it probably isn't serving them. There's something that they want and they're using this way to get it.
Correct. Maybe another way to say this, John, is there are limitations if you're only using those three roles to get what you want.
That is a heaps better way to put it. Thanks. What's the better way to get what you want?
Excellent. So glad you asked. So because we are a human being,
yes,
we've got access to all different ways of being. So we've played around and we're quite skilled in practice at being the hero and the rescuer, being the persecutor and being the victim. Again, all automatic conscious. We've been practicing those unconsciously and automatically for the majority of our lives. It's pretty easy for us to get into that space. We also, and most of the time we forget this, we've got access to different ways of being that will help us produce different results. So the so what is shining light on those, distinguish, oh, I'm in hero victim mode, persecutor victim mode. Okay, now what, to your point? Now we can start making choices. Once we can see what we're dealing with, I'm in the drama triangle, now I have a choice. And you have the choice to stay in there. Absolutely, that's one valid choice. You can stay in there, have that particular experience, have those particular results. No right or wrong, just know that that's what's going on. Alternatively, you can have a different choice and choose a different way of being that you can now start to explore. Is that going to give me an access to producing the result that I want? Not only producing the result that I want, but altering my experience. And that's the biggest piece. How can I experience myself, others, and life differently in a way that's more aligned with what it is that I want? And that's what I love. And that's why I do what I do, because people do actually know what they want and they're just out of alignment and out of whack. And these tools are an access to allow you to experience that, practice it, and then create and generate it all the time for yourself.
Yeah, well, you are really helping people with the importance of self awareness and coaching them and showing them tools that help them get that self awareness, like you
Yeah.
say, to be able to experience life in a way that, I don't know, is great. Whatever you just said, it was a lot better way to put it than I just did.
Yeah. It's like, it's the old teaching them how to fish.
Mm.
And this is, like you, John, this has probably been one of the most impactful tools for my clients, because they do remember. They go, oh, and I'll get on the calls. I go, Karina, I spent the last 5 days in Persecutor. Oh, not that long, but they'll come to me and they'll be able to articulate
Yeah.
and recognize the role,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I just help them mostly to practice an alternative way of being.
Awesome. So, because that will then give them access and the power to do what they want to do, reach their goals, achieve their missions, all the things.
Yeah, actually get what they want.
And that is a massive reason why, and I keep harping on about it, but I have to, that's a massive reason why you want to coach, because you would not get any of this trying to figure shit out yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is where I spend all my time and energy and money on training and developing myself to do this for people.
Yeah, and that's one thing that, well, that's another thing I should say that I know and love about you is that you are always constantly working on yourself, going to next levels yourself and learning new things and incorporating all the things that you
Mm,
coach others to do and have and be, you do yourself, which is you
mm.
walk the talk, which is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You're not just sitting there going, yeah. It's not like a health professional sucking on a packet of cigarettes, drinking a bottle of bourbon, going, yeah, you should eat right. It's not like that at all. You're actually walking the talk that you give. So I love that. I love that.
And I think to answer that too, it's taken me 50 years to really answer my calling, John. This is it. When I did and we'll get onto this later, I'm sure, when I did my values track, that was it for me. So I was like, oh, I love that. I've been doing that all the way through, and now to be able to live and breathe it full time and do, I love this. I love this. Yeah. And when you're outside of the drama triangle too, it also has a particular flavor of it. So again, how we spoke about in the drama triangle, it's heavy, resentful, stressful, tiring, exhausting, all of that kind of stuff. When you're out of that and you choose another way of being, let's explore that first. So it could be, if you're wanting something and what's required to get the thing that you want, or need. It could be a matter of being compassionate. Oh, how about I just be compassionate and listen? It could be a matter of, am I demonstrating leadership here? Maybe what's required is leadership, not hero rescuing someone into doing something. Maybe I need to step back and allow them to share their ideas and take the action versus me going in and saving the day. Maybe it's about, how do I learn how to empower somebody? There's many different ways of being, alternative ways of being that you could try on to produce the result or get what it is that you want and need. And so usually in that space, there's more creativity, there's more possibility. You're usually more connected with other human beings. There's playfulness, there's joy, there's lightness. There's a whole bunch of things that are now available from an experiential level, as well as producing the result that you want.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned both the results and what I'm hearing is how you get there.
Yeah.
The journey as well. I know it's overused, but the journey as well. All those things you mentioned, of course, we want in our life a bit more joy, a bit more playfulness, those kind of things, and that's what's available.
It's really about the transformation of experiencing life in yourself and others. That's what I'm
Beautiful.
really interested in. Yeah.
That's your jam, just in that sentence. Can you say that again?
I don't know what I said.
Yeah, right, man, you do. That's your whole thing. The transformation, experiencing yourself. Okay.
It's really about the transformation of experiencing life in yourself and others. And John, too, look, if anybody want, I can put together a little, one pager on the drama triangle, if anyone listening, and give that to you as well, because it's a very powerful, simple model that you can start to experiment with and play around with and distinguish for yourself, again, to give you an access to an alternative experience and actually getting what you want.
Great. Yes, that would be amazing. Let's make that one pager available, and it'll be in the show notes how to get access to it. Thanks for the offer. Definitely take you up on that, because I'll use it as well. So for me as well. Guess who came in offering me a super duper.
Hi, gorgeous girl. Look at you. So beautiful.
Thanks.
Flavors that you got. This one's marshmallow. This one's blue lemonade.
Nice. All right. Could you please let the rest of the family know I'm still recording? Thanks. Love you too. So that was lovely. Talking about drama triangles, one just came in.
So good.
For those that don't know what I'm talking about, my daughter just came in. If you're not, you might have just heard her, as you can see her on YouTube. I might even keep that in. She just came in. I was fully persecuting, victiming. I don't know what I was. I definitely wasn't heroing, because people are making noise outside the studio here, and I'm going, for God's sake. And then this beautiful girl comes in with some Zupa Dupers. If you don't know from America what a Zupa Duper is, it's just a long frozen bit of flavored water, icy water. And she goes, would you like a Super Duper, Dad? Oh, what a dick I was. Going, shut up, everyone. I'm trying to do an interview here. That's the thing, right, about being human in life. We're not perfect. We don't have it all covered all the time. But we do have access to tools that can help us. And you know what I loved about what we just did then, and I'm not saying this because to big up myself, but we laughed about it. We had a bit of fun with it and went, oh, there it is. Oh, and I just did it. We're just talking about it. And I just did it. And, have a bit of fun with it, because it doesn't have to be so significant and heavy.
Yes, I love it. And play is a big thing to bring into the coaching conversations and take the significance out of things, because and I'm saying that for someone who's a recovering perfectionist. So, again, very limiting, that approach.
Yes. Nice. Now, at the end of this, I'm going to be, for the listeners, I'm going to be playing your song. This is a song that I created with AI. Yeah, sure. No worries. It's AI, but it's amazing. And I put in what I wanted. said, I'd like a song for Karina. She's an amazing coach, and a couple of other things I put in there. And he created this amazing song. And one of the verses is, it's just, I said amazing about 5 times because I am blown away. One of the verses it puts in there, unveiling truths you never knew. Her wisdom cuts the doubts in two. She turns your fears into bright light, guiding you through every fight. How good. And you kind of did that, just resonated with what we're talking about and what just happened and what you do. But you'll hear the song afterwards. Listeners will play it at the very end.
It's beautiful.
Right. So there is the drama triangle. I think we have explored that very detailed, and we even just had a impromptu example coming through the door just there as well, which is great. You've also got the emotion wheel as a tool that you use. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah. And, one of the things that you're talking about, insights that I've noticed, certainly working with my clients and talking with people in general, I think one of the big things that we aren't, especially from a school system perspective, we aren't trained and developed in is actually our ability to articulate what we're feeling. And it kind of links to the drama triangle, and why that's so useful is because we aren't trained, first of all, to notice what we're feeling and then ask for what we want and need. So it kind of all connects together, which is why I do this work, especially in the accelerator. It's the foundational stuff. So the emotion wheel is a tool that's designed to help us uplift our emotional intelligence. Because most of the time we can articulate maybe the bigger sort of grosser feelings. And what I mean by that is, I'm annoyed, I'm pissed off, I'm happy, I'm joyful, but there's nuances under those kind of bigger emotions that we're all able to articulate. And the emotion wheel helps us increase and expand our emotional vocabulary. And why we want to do that is it helps us get connected to ourselves and therefore potentially our needs and wants, and how to communicate that to others as well as ourselves when we acknowledge that. So let me share with you what the emotion wheel looks like. So if you just think of a circle. In that circle are segments to the circle, and we've got in the segments there is a smaller circle in the middle, kind of like a bullseye. If you think of a bullseye, and you've got those circles coming out, and in the circles coming out there are also segments like cutting a cake. So I'm going to use one emotion that we all kind of know, which is fear. So that's the big one of the big sort of gross emotions that we mostly know what it feels like to be fearful or scared. And then coming out of that slice or cake from the middle of the circle out, we then have these nuances. So it could be fear is the big emotion, and then we have insignificant. We then have, as an experience or feeling, busy, threatened, surprised, uncomfortable, worried, insecure, fragile, vulnerable, unsafe, anxious, addicted, taken advantage of, terrified, overwhelmed, imposter syndrome. So what I found with my clients when we start looking at some of the things that are stopping them when they say fear, and then they look at the emotion wheel, all of a sudden they're getting these light bulb moments. Oh, actually, I didn't know I was feeling that.
Right. So the emotion wheel gives you a bit of a guide to be able to put a label on how you're feeling, so you can tackle it, dissolve it, acknowledge it, whatever it is.
Yeah. So it's a guide, but what I notice that it mostly does for people, it gets them present to a feeling that they wouldn't have acknowledged that's there because all they're using is I'm scared or I'm fearful.
Yeah. And as you might say, they're operating over the top of that.
Correct. And then if you can't acknowledge what's there, then there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a deliberate practice to start to expand and be aware of all the different nuances and feelings that human beings experience. Because sometimes we don't have words to it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and then we go, oh, that's what it is actually. I'm feeling really humiliated, as an example, versus Oh, I was upset.
And then what would you do with that once they've been able to articulate how they're feeling?
Sure. First of all, I mean, the first thing in any of this kind of work is just to acknowledge that it's there. So usually, again, what happens is there's space. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Now, depending on the situational circumstance, usually what will happen is when they can articulate the experience that they didn't know was there, that they didn't have words to, they can go, oh, actually, that doesn't have anything to do with what I'm experiencing right now. It just reminds me of something. And then with that reminding of something, usually I project forward. All of a sudden, the situation that they're really upset about, potentially some of the edge gets taken off of that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then that allows them to...
Again, the space
Yes.
to either make another choice,
Yes.
or take a different approach, or have a different perspective about what's going on.
Yeah.
And then the what's next.
Right. And a bit like what you said before about then you can have a different experience of your life, one that you might prefer to have than the one that you're having right now.
Correct. And a different experience of others.
Yeah, nice.
Because when we're in that space of especially heightened emotions, we can't hear properly.
Mm.
We're hearing through filters, whether we're on the constant lookout of threat. That's what we're hardwired for. Is something there to get me?
Yeah, true. It's the evolution of the species. So we've got to keep our guard up to make sure that we survive. So the species does too.
Exactly. And again, all unconscious, automatic. We don't know whether we're doing that. And again, that's why you have a coach to come back and go, hang on, I think this is what's going on, but I'm not sure. And then we use this emotion wheel to get an understanding of how are you feeling? What's actually happening? And they go through this and they go, oh, and again, it just gives them space and freedom to see things as they are.
Great. Yeah. I like it. I'm going to ask you another question now, a different one.
Yes.
You finished with the emotion wheel?
I think so.
Okay, good. So these tools that you're going through, I love them, and they work really well when we're having a coaching session, and you can guide like you have. You've guided me through those tools so I can use them in my life. And that opportunity is available for listeners as well if they want to work with you. I'm wondering, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling a bit stuck right now and they don't have the benefit of having a coaching session with you, going through these tools? I know that option will be available, and we'll tell you how at the end of the show. But if someone's listening, they're feeling a bit stuck right now, what advice would you give them?
One of the first things to do, I think, for anyone that I've gotten more and more clear about, especially in the last year, is to get into communication. First thing, because when you're going around and round in your head, it sounds different when you have it on loudspeaker.
Yeah, right. What great advice. So if you're feeling stuck, get in communication, obviously with someone you trust. I really love that advice. That's all I was after. Just a quick thing. What would you say if someone's saying, I'm feeling stuck, I don't know what to do, or feeling this way? Because we've got all these great tools. They just take a little bit of time, and you've got to go through that with someone. So just in case someone's listening now, feeling a bit that way, and so they could get the benefit of your gold by listening to the show today. And so your bit of gold is to get in communication.
Yeah. And again, you want to get into communication with someone who's obviously got your back, has, that you trust, as you mentioned. You could even say up front, I just need you to listen. Some version of that, right? So that you're not left disappointed.
Yeah, no, that's really clear. And that goes back to what you were saying before. What do you really want? So if you tell someone what you really want straight off the bat, that's good. If that's what you want, you might want someone's advice and you don't want them to just listen. And you could say that too. You say, firstly, I want you to listen, but then I'm really interested in your advice in this, or I just need to get this off my chest, or whatever. But the main thing is that you've said is your piece of gold for anyone who's feeling a bit stuck, get in communication.
Yeah. And then the second thing, if you can't get in touch with somebody, which is most people's experience, at the time that they need it, is you do a brain dump. Write down all the, just get it out on paper, because again, that'll help take it out of your brain to give you some brain space onto paper. Just brain dump, write things out. That's also a great tool for people to use if they're kind of, oh, I'm stuck, I'm overwhelmed. Just write it all out.
Yeah, I love it.
And that'll also give you some space and freedom.
And that'll become short for YouTube, because that's really good. That's really good gold there. Excellent. Now, I know you have an offer for our listeners. The last time you did an amazing offer that some of our listeners took up on, and you were you offered that free of charge, so there was no financial barrier to people.
Yes.
And you've got a similar one going today. You're so generous. Tell us what it is.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I've noticed is most people have no, which is what's so brilliant about what you're doing with this, John, is to give people an understanding of what coaching is. So what I put together is a 5-day challenge for people who want to experience and understand what coaching can provide for them.
Right. So when you say 5 days, it's like, is it like a 40-hour week?
Yeah, no. So a 5-day challenge, thank you, is you get for 5 days a one-on-one session with me over a 5-day period for an hour.
Really? Jeez,
Yes.
That's so generous. An hour of your time for 5 days in a row.
Exactly. And what we'll do is we will take you through some of the foundation fundamental things to help you set up. And this is, because it's January 2025, I want people to be able to start their year strong. And this 5-day challenge really is all about that. So it's called the Start Strong 5-day challenge. And that'll give you an access to be able to, as I said, start your year strong, get a experiential experience of what having a coach is like, and the difference that it could make for you. If you've ever thought about, oh, I'd love it, but I don't know, I'm not sure, how's it going to add value, make a difference for me? So that's what that's all about. 5-day challenge to start your year strong.
That is, I've literally got goosebumps when you said that, because I didn't realize it was that generous when we spoke earlier, what you might be offering our listeners. So thank you for being so generous. And that's my experience of you, that you are generous. And listeners, I use Karina as a coach. I have been engaging her for years now as a coach. I wouldn't have any other coach. I'm sure there's wonderful coaches out there, but I'm just saying my experience is that having Karina in your corner really works, and there's no excuses. A friend of mine, Brad Cuskelly, says there's no excuses. If you really want something, it's just a matter of priorities, and do it. And so if you've, like you said, Karina, if you've ever thought, I haven't had a coach, high performance people have a coach, maybe I should have a coach. And then you do some research and you don't know who to use, or you think, I've got to have a 30-minute call or whatever, and you don't know the person, and then you feel obligated, or you don't, or then they tell you a 5-figure price or something. And I know you never have financial reasons as a barrier for people as well. I know you help a lot with that to make it affordable for people. So, because you're about getting the results, sure, you need that exchange. You've got bills to pay as well, but you always try and make it work for people. And what better way to experience having a coach than what you've just outlined, which is a 5-day challenge, 1 hour a day, work with Karina on the particular time and get that experience. And then what?
Well, then you have an experience of what a coach is like. You've got to find the right coach for you, obviously. As you said, there's no obligation at the end of the 5 days. You'll absolutely get value in that 5 days, because we'll look at obviously what it is you want to accomplish and create a map for you to be able to accomplish that. We'll go through your values track. We'll take you through, the drama triangle and the emotion wheel as well. But mostly it's about creating a specific map for you and what you want to accomplish for your life. And, the reason I do this is because I spent so much of my life wanting to go and do what I want. How do I do it? And my dream is to have more people getting what they want for themselves in their life, because they'll be happier and therefore we'll have a happier planet. So I just want more people to get what they want out of life. And not just a happier planet, the people in your life will be happier as well, because you're doing what you love and what you want, and you'll be aligned, whole and complete. Yeah.
Wonderful. Karina, that is super generous. I can't thank you enough, and I'm really looking forward to Rise and Thrivers, people listening to this. Do it now. Don't wait for the song at the end. Hit pause on this recording, look at the show notes, get in contact with Karina. It's Karina Murphy, and it's all spelled how you think it would be spelled. So karinamurphy.com.au is Karina's website, and that'll get you the ability to contact her. So right now on your phone, karinamurphy.com.au, contact. So I want to do this 5-day challenge, and then you can get the ball rolling.
Totally. You'd be nuts not to do it. And I know.
There's no excuses. You can't say it's a financial excuse. You can't say time. It's an hour a day for a week to be your best. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. You don't even have to invest the money. Just invest that time in yourself at a time. Karina will make it work for you. She's very good at that. And after a week, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So really looking forward to people taking up. That is the most generous offer we've had on the show. So thank you, Karina, for that. Not only the first guest on the show ever, but the most generous. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Karina Murphy, you're a fucking legend. People love it when I swear on the show. I don't know why, but I always cringe a bit before I say it. But I said it with gusto and in that case, because it's how I feel. Thank you for being you. Thank you for what you bring to the world. Thank you for being in my corner. And thank you for your offer to be in the Rise and Thrivers corner with that generous offer that you just gave. There's only one other thing left to do, and that is, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is Karina's song, and it's all true.
She steps into the room with a smile. Her words like magic, they beguile. Confidence grows with every talk. She's the spark in the walk, unveiling truths you never knew. Her wisdom cuts the doubts in two. She turns your fears into bright light, guiding you through every fight. She's the guiding light you need, helping you to plant the seed. Confidence and mindset soar. She opens up that winning door. With every word she shifts the way, turns night into a brighter day. Communication's now yours. She helps you to perfect your part. Through self-discovery she'll lead, giving you the tools you need. Her passion is your greatest friend. In her hands the troubles end.
Oh, I'm going to fade it down there. It's so good, isn't it?
So good.
And it's all goddamn true. Her passion's your greatest friend. Wow, there, you know, it's magnificent, magnificent. If you want the full version of that, I'll definitely send it to you. Karina and I love it. I made it with AI for Karina. We were just having a bit of a bop around there as it played. But thanks for being on the show, and thanks for being you, Karina Murphy.
My pleasure. Love you, John Merkus. Love what you're up to.
And that's a wrap of part 2 of my conversation with Karina Murphy. How amazing was that? If you haven't heard part 1, go back and have a listen to part 1. If you've heard both of them, you are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. The transformative power of self-awareness, the actionable steps she gave us for life and career, and the insights are just so invaluable. And I know you're walking away with practical tools that you can start using right away. If you haven't already, have a suss of Karina's offer. Just go to karinamurphy.com.au, get in contact with her, and you are up for the 5-day challenge because you're a Rise and Thrive Conversation for Greatness listener. That's one of the benefits. So I would take that up, and I would love to hear from you once you've taken that up, what your experience is by having a coach. Now, if you know anyone that can benefit from this kind of information and this podcast, please let people know. Let's spread the word. And I also realize that a lot of people that are listening aren't following the show. So if you're listening, please follow the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever. That really does help. Thank you so much. Love you a long time. Stay awesome.